Welcome to the 25th Annual Misconception Pageant, where we value brains over beauty. I'm your host, Jordan Dorsey. Let's take a look at our three finalists. Our first finalist is Miss Revolutionary. Miss Revolutionary, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I can. Hello everyone, I'm Miss Revolutionary. I represent the colonial people of America who fought for our independence in the late 1700s. It's an honor to be here since I represent the people's integrity and determination. And I plan to win this contest. Thank you.
Our second finalist is Miss Transcendentalism. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Definitely. Hi, I'm Transcendentalism. I'm here to represent the literary movement in the 1820s that called for the awakening of individualism and appreciation of nature. I will do you proud. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least finalist is Miss Progressive. Can you talk a little about yourself?
I can. Hi, I'm Miss Progressive and I represent the Progressive Era. I represent those who fought for social and economic change brought about by rapid industrialization and the Great Depression in America. I will use the same dedication to apply to this challenge to win.
Our final challenge will be based upon a very prominent and recent issue of today's time, police brutality. Our finalists will be put up to the test and be asked an open-ended question regarding this issue. Let's bring up our first finalist, Miss Revolutionary. Okay, you'll be asked an open-ended question. You'll have some time to think about it and give us your final answer.
Got it.
Okay, your question is, how do you think police brutality should be addressed?
Well, this reminds me of the American Revolution.
The American Revolution was the result from the irreconcilable conflicts such as the tensions between the 13 colonies and the tyranny of Great Britain, due to the problems of taxation, the Stamp Acts, and the Intolerable Acts, which angered the colonists and made them feel vulnerable to British tyranny. The colonies wanted independence from Britain because they did not like being under monarch rule anymore. When the French joined the Continental Army, it became a victorious turning point in the war. They helped the rebels win their fight for independence. Why is it that we hesitate? From Britain, we can expect nothing but ruin. If she is admitted to the government of America again, this continent will not be worth living in. Thomas Paine.
Well, Jordan, the issue of police brutality is similar to the British monarchy and during the American Revolution, because most problems were solved through fighting and revolting during that time period for what you believe in. Well, also, during that time period, the colonists fought Great Britain for their independence. You see, the Great Britain and the police in America are both similar because they are both over-controlling authorities. And the colonists and the people of America today are similar because they both want to stop oppression. Furthermore, Thomas Paine justifies my claim. He questions the American people for not taking arms and fighting against the British monarchy. If the British monarchy did intertwine with the American government, he says, quote, it would not be worth living in anymore, end quote. So to solve today's monarchy issue, we should fight and revolt against the police brutality in America.
Miss Transcendentalism?
This reminds me of Henry David Thoreau.
One famous transcendental man, Henry David Thoreau, once said in his Civil Disobedience that unjust laws exist. Shall we be content to obey them, or shall we endeavor to amend them, or shall we transgress them at once? As for adopting the ways which the state has provided for remedying evil, I know not of such ways. They take too much time and a man's life will be gone. I do not hesitate to say that those who call themselves abolitionists should at once effectually withdraw their support, both in person and property, from the government of Massachusetts, and not wait till they constitute a majority of one. What Thoreau means by this is that wherever there is repression, one should immediately engage in direct civil disobedience. Such direct action does not necessarily mean violence. More often, it is interpreted as peaceful non-cooperation. For example, withdrawing support from the government means refusing to fulfill civil duties, such as contributing labor or paying tax. If a large enough number of people undertake such civil disobedience, the authority will have no choice but to address the grievance immediately.
In society, it is simply not enough to look at police brutality merely as police brutality. We need to find out the bigger things behind the issue. Power is navigating in society. If we put too much power on the government, tyranny will be the natural result of such indulgence. But on the other hand, if we don't have enough, if the government doesn't have enough power, it will lead to chaos and incompetence in terms of regulating the multiple aspects of society. Therefore, we need to put enough power and faith in our government, but we also need to show the solidarity and strength as a people. One gentleman that I have the honor to represent, Henry David Thoreau, offered one fundamental method through which a people can collectively redress the wrongness of the society: civil disobedience, which is also known as peaceful non-cooperation. Peaceful non-cooperation means that a people in a society collectively stop cooperating with the government in forms of daily activities. For example, if millions of people would go on strike in protest of police brutality, the economic loss of such activity would be millions of dollars per day. Then the government has to address the issue immediately because the country can't afford to raise the economic loss of such activity. There have been several successful incidents of such method. In India, Gandhi led India to independence using the power of civil disobedience, and Martin Luther King Jr. really advanced the civil rights movement in the 1960s, also using the power of civil disobedience. Therefore, it's definitely reasonable to think that direct action, civil disobedience, would also be the solution of police brutality in America.
Miss Progressive?
This reminds me of the occurrences that happened within the Progressive era.
The Progressive Era was a time period of uncertainty. The working class was already suffering from the issues brought about from the newly industrialized America, but after the onset of the Great Depression, persistent demands for social and economic change erupted. The Great Depression predominantly affected the working class, and as a result, the wealthy were able to take advantage of their hopelessness. The wealthy business owners abused the working class with harsh working conditions, knowing their desperate state. Workers typically worked a strenuous 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and some 24 straight hours of intense labor. Additionally, there was no nationally mandated minimum wage, so workers could expect to make as little as 10 cents an hour. Several companies also created anti-labor union laws in order to persuade workers to conceal their working conditions. These unfortunate people were left powerless against their aggressors because they feared for their lives. They knew that if they spoke out against their treatment, they could be deprived of the precious money that they needed to make a living. The working class of the Progressive Era needed aid from something larger than themselves. They needed the executive power of their government. American economist Milton Friedman, who lived during the Progressive Era, understood very well that the issue must be addressed by the government, because he claimed the issue resided within the government. He stated the Great Depression, like most other periods of severe unemployment, was produced by government mismanagement rather than by any inherent instability of the private economy. Essentially, it is the government's duty to implement laws that protect its citizens from acts of tyranny. The business owners were allotting themselves more power than they were supposed to have, and the government was the only force that could check them. This is evident because when the voice of the oppressed could no longer be suppressed, the government took action, and it resolved the issues of the time through the implementation of new laws. Through new policies such as Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal, the issues of the time were able to be addressed.
The situation of police brutality correlates to the situation that I have in my era, Progressive Era, because just like the working class were abused by the tyranny of the business owners, the victims of police brutality are also abused by the tyranny of the police. In both cases, the lives of the working class and the lives of the victims of the police brutality are both in jeopardy because they are both fighting for their lives. In order to address this problem in the Progressive Era, the new laws were implemented. And we need to go about this problem today of police brutality in the same way. We need to work through the implementation of new laws in order to address this issue so